At least introduce us. So I'm Jenny Culbertson, and I'm a grad assistant, a GTA at the OIT office, and I work with Rachel and Courtney. And today they're going to handle the chat, by the way. So if you do have questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Rachel will monitor that. And as Courtney mentioned, we will provide the presentation and the videos at a later date. And so today I'm going to focus on design ideas and subtitles in PowerPoint, the zoom or the landing page function, annotating, and finally recording a presentation in PowerPoint. And then at the end, you can ask questions throughout. Feel free to turn your mic on and just ask questions. But also we will can answer questions at the end, even on other topics in PowerPoint if you need. So the first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is, it's called Designer in PowerPoint. And what this is it's a really nice feature. It's like having a, someone design custom slides for you and your topics. So this feature can only be done in 365, or you can only use it in 365, but I'm going to show you some tricks on then going to your desktop app. It will transfer over to your desktop app. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my desktop app. All right. And so what I've done here in Office 365 PowerPoint is I just have a couple of keywords here. I have computer and science. So in order to use this nice designer slide feature, I'm going to go to this Design tab. And once you click on Design, you can go to Designer. Now, sometimes it will pop up automatically for you. Oftentimes, you just have to go turn it on. So I've turned on my Designer. So just based on my two words here, computer and science, Designer has come up with several options that I might want to use. And so if you had an existing presentation, you could upload it into Office 365 and see what kind of design ideas or designer ideas will come up based on your content in your presentation. Another nice thing is that it will also create designer ideas based on pictures, really some pretty slides. So I'm going to insert a picture. I'm going to go to Pictures. And we're going to stick with flowers because it's spring.
And something to note here is when you search for Bing pictures, it automatically selects Creative Commons only for you.
So I'm going to select a picture. Now notice that as soon as I put that picture on the slide, all of these really creative slide ideas auto-populated there under that designer preview. So let's say that I want to use, I like this one. I'm going to go ahead and apply that to my first slide.
Jenny, we have a question about not seeing the Designer tab, and that's a good discussion of what version of PowerPoint you're using.
All right, so I'm in Office 365. So I had to log into my Office 365 version in order to use the Designer feature. So it's not going to be on your desktop app, but you can open it. You can create it in here and then take it back to your desktop app. And then those themes and that design slides will stick. You can also, as I mentioned, you can upload an existing PowerPoint that you have already saved in your desktop app. You can upload that to 365 and get some of these designer slides for your presentation. Does that answer that, Rachel?
I think also that, this is Rosie, I think I've used this feature, and I think I'm using it with my desktop, but I think it's because I'm constantly with the 365 open. So somehow somehow it's working with my desktop.
Oh,
If you have the Office 365 licensed version on your computer, so you downloaded the entire Office suite from Office 365, you will see these features on your desktop version. If you're using the UT volume license, you will not see these things, but you can still go to office365.utk.edu and access a lot of this stuff and then pull it back down into your PowerPoint and it'll still work fine.
do we have any other questions on that?
No,
Okay.
don't like this 365, and this gives me a good reason to use it.
Yeah, it's really a nice feature. And if you can do, so for example, let's say, okay, I like this one for the first slide, but maybe I want to do some more design ideas. So I found this little trick where I just duplicate the slide and then I'll put another picture on. Let's say I want to have 2 pictures. So I'll put another flower here. And so, oops, maybe that's not going to work.
And why don't you show them how to get to the designer again?
Sure, but I'm going to change something here. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to show you how to turn the designer on again. I want to show you how 2 pictures come up, and I'll do that in a moment. But if that designer ideas go, if like that doesn't show up for you on the right-hand side, you just go to design and then designers on the far right here. And that will turn it off and on. Okay. So I'm going to insert a new slide. Just wanted to show you how to do 2 pictures. I'll bring that one in. And we'll bring another one in.
So we have a little bit of a discussion here going on of, is this an advanced feature and can you update and upload other photos? I would say this really is not a terribly advanced feature. It's just, you have to understand it's available from Office 365. It's not on your version that desktop support may have installed on your laptop. But if you're interested in using this more, we can definitely sit down with you one-on-one and do a consultation. And with anything that you see here, just contact the help desk and request a one-on-one consultation. And Courtney, Jenny, or I would be really happy to sit down with you and help you out with what you need. And you get Office 365 by logging into the web at office365.utk.edu, and I'll put that into the chat. And you've got access there to all of the Office products that are available in Office 365, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Sway, just OneNote, a ton of different things.
All right, so you'll see that I have put 2 pictures on, and it will come up with, you know, based on all the pictures you put on your slide, or I think the limit may be 2, I have to check into that, but it will customize and come up with some design ideas for you. So let's say that it does come up with several of them and you really like them. You can always go through and just duplicate the slides, and then you could apply different ones that came up. So let's say you like this one, and you could apply a design idea. So you could come up with several that you think you might want to use in your presentation. You can always delete them later, but you're bringing, you know, go ahead and include them before you transfer over to your desktop app. Now, for some reason, this happened to me yesterday. I lost my controls at the top. So may need a little help here. Do you see how I have the white part at the bottom, Rachel? It's a good thing it's happening now in case it happens to anyone else. Yesterday, and I had to exit out, so we may have to do that. But for some reason, I lost my toolbar at the top.
I think you move your mouse up to the very top and see if you've accidentally hidden it. And it might be because of how you're sharing that it's not popping down.
Yep. No, it just goes away. I did that yesterday, but I don't need it this very second. So I will head back over to the PowerPoint. Maybe
Did you select the notes view down there at the bottom right? I was watching chat, so I wasn't looking to see what you were clicking.
Yeah, that doesn't turn it off either.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that happens, but it's okay because then we're showing you that might happen. Don't panic. We'll just exit out and go back in. But because you made it, one nice thing is because you started it in 365, you're not going to lose it. So you started it, it's going to auto save. So if it does freeze up or act funky, you can just close out, go back in. So I'll probably end up doing that.
So we've got a real active chat discussion going on here.
While we do that, I'm going to go ahead and close it, and then I'm just going to.
Yeah, that'll give you a chance to close out. So there was a question about copyright issues. If you search through Bing, it will automatically select Creative Commons images, and so you don't have to worry as much about the copyright issues there because it's looking only for Creative Commons. It even will include all of that information on the back end of the photo in the alt text and all of that. So you're good for the copyright issues there. And then the other thing was someone says, my Office 365 shows Designer as preview. Is this normal? It is a new feature, so it may still say preview on there. This feature has only been in there 6 months or so, something like that. And Lee actually says that he's been able to use this to have up to 5 pictures.
Oh, good. Okay.
So yeah, it does work for that. And someone else says, I tried to insert the pic as Jenny instructed, but it doesn't allow me to make it as a background, but small size of a pic. That might depend on the resolution of the image that you're looking at. If it's a really small image, then PowerPoint probably would not try to suggest that you make it large because it knows if you're going to show this on a projector screen, it wouldn't look good. So you may need to play with the picture or search for pictures with a higher resolution on that.
When I did the 2 pictures, that was the first, of course, while we're recording, it was the first time that happened where I put a picture in and it didn't pick up design ideas.
And sometimes it doesn't, and you'll notice that on Jenny's it actually says designer preview there. Now when it says preview there, that's your choices for the different styles that you might want to pick based on the picture that she chose. And Jenny, would you actually show how to choose the picture one more time, because someone wanted to see that as well.
I'm going to go ahead though and show how to apply these previews. So let's say I want to change that one. I put that slide in. I'm just going to, it's a preview because once I click it, it applies to the slide I have selected. So that's why it's a preview, because you have to go and apply it. So you want to me to show you how to insert picture again? Let me go.
Yeah.
Sure. No, I'm just.
And it also says, make sure that when you log on to office365.utk.edu that you are using your UT net ID and password. So you want to make sure that you are logging on through UT. And Courtney, someone says, says Microsoft 365 subscription. Is that the same as Office 365? I believe it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yes, it is. I'm trying to respond just in line in the text there.
So. Thank you.
All right, so I'll go ahead and show you how to insert a picture again. I put a new slide in and I went under pictures. Now you may have one saved on your device, so of course you can upload those. But then Bing Pictures, if you're just trying to pull one that quickly. So I just did Bing Pictures and searched for.
And you'll see there is where, point out where the Creative Commons box is, would you?
Yeah, right up here, it shows you that it automatically selected Creative Commons photos, so you don't have to worry about copyright issues. And you know, I notice when I choose some of these cartoony images, those are the ones that tend to not want to have the design ideas really apply for the designer. And I don't, it must be like we mentioned, the pixels or the higher resolution. So I'm going to just choose one. And
actually, I think in there you can filter it. There was a little filter button next to where it says Creative Commons.
Yeah, there's a way to filter. So,
and that's where you should be able to pick the size. So see that filter button there?
It looks like
you can tell it to search for large, extra large, and that'll help you choose the size photo that you want to put in there.
Yeah. So if we go by large, and there we go. Well, it's large, so now it's going to take a little while to put in, of course. So while
it can slow you down.
While that's going on, so that's design ideas, and we're going to head over to the desktop app in a bit. But I want to cover subtitles before we move over to the desktop app, because subtitles is another feature that if you have the UT installed PowerPoint on your device, then you're not going to be able to use subtitles. But if you have use Office 365 version, subtitles is part of that. It's one of the features. So I'm going to go ahead and apply one of my pretty pictures and talk to you about subtitles. But you'll be able to see how the design ideas or the designer will transfer over to the desktop app in a moment. So for subtitles, Rachel talked about it a little bit yesterday if you were here. So subtitles are a way for you, for example, if you're doing your presentation online, which this is what our focus is now, and you have a poor internet connection and you might be cutting out, subtitles will come up and maybe help the students keep up by having the words on the screen. Also in the future, if you're in the face-to-face classroom, subtitles are really nice for your ESL students, for large classrooms where maybe you have students who have a hard time hearing you in the back of the room. So it's really a great feature. And if you maybe know you have a couple of students in your class who speak a different language and that you only have a couple, you could focus it really for your classroom. We don't recommend it for recorded videos, because it's not really for closed captions. You do have to be using Chrome, Edge, or Firefox in your browser if you have it in 365. And your translations may not be perfect, but hey, I think it's very helpful to at least provide as much as possible. So we're going to pop back over to 365 so that we can show you how to do this. So if you go under slideshow, you're going to see that you have this always use subtitles section. There's a drop-down box right beside it. So you get to choose your spoken language. So we're going to have that as English. And that just did that to me again. Did you see that? All right, it's okay. We'll go back and open it up. Good thing for autosave. All right, so we'll go to our slideshow. And there's your drop down. So I already chose my spoken language. Now you have your subtitle language. Now I'm just going to keep it as English, but you'll notice that you have a lot of different choices here. There, wide variety of languages to choose from. I'm going to go ahead and keep it as English. And then I can choose where I'd like for that to show up. So do I want it to be at the bottom of the slide? Do I want it overlaid on the top? So you have options. I typically will put it below, or you can do bottom overlaid. I'm just gonna choose one here. Now I noticed, I'll be honest, and it could just be my connection with me, but I noticed that it did take me several tries before it kicked in. It was almost like I had to go through the whole practice process before it actually kicked in. So don't give up if it doesn't automatically work right away. It took me like 3 or 4 times, but that could just be me and my device. So I'm going to go ahead and practice because I chose where I wanted my English, what language, my subtitle language, and then I chose where I'd like it for it to display. So if we want to practice with that, do we have any questions before I practice, Courtney?
One of the things with the subtitles, and this is where some of your issues might have come in, Jennifer, is that these subtitles are going out to a Microsoft Agile server for the translation from speech to text. So it's a round trip thing. So if you do have a slightly slower connection, this can cause some issues there.
And Vanessa actually said that she had tried these subtitles for Portuguese, but they just weren't a good translation. She said they were just crazy. We had played with this in a workshop where Courtney was explaining that his wife, who is a high school science teacher, used it. And when she was translating, we were testing it out in Bulgarian or something, that he described his wife as a high school science teacher. And the person said, oh, well, it just translated that as you describing your wife as a saint. So yeah, it is not perfect, although it was accurate in the translation. But yeah, it is a handy tool, but it is definitely not something that is perfect. And it's just something that is there for, if you've got somebody who cannot speak English and you're trying to communicate with them, or you've got folks in, Cox Auditorium that are sitting in the back of the room, it might be helpful for something like that if, your microphone isn't quite loud enough for them to hear.
So my guess is that picking up the sound and doing the subtitles. But is there a way that you can, before recording it, modify, so go over it so that you can provide the subtitles but check it? I remember 4 or 5 years ago when I took the accessibility workshop with the accessibility office, they had a way for us to go over the subtitles and modify and just rectify what it's doing.
Yeah, that was actually the one that we did a few years ago. And if you need to do these for a recorded lesson, or you need to do them for accessibility purposes, these are not what you want to use. If you need to do for a recorded video, or you need to do it for accessibility, you want to contact either Disability Services, or you can also contact Eric Moore in Office of Information Technology. That's our department. You can call the help desk at 974-9900 and ask for a consultation with Eric. And he has a program called Verbit that he can help you with recorded items. If you are uploading this to YouTube, you can actually go in and modify the automatic closed captions that YouTube does just manually. So I would suggest that for a really short video, not for, a 45-minute long lecture. But yeah, these are definitely not what you want to use for recorded lectures or for closed captions. This is more of just a nice little thing to use if you are live over Zoom and you're thinking, oh, my sound might be cutting out and people need to be able to see my point, so that if, a word here and there gets garbled, they can tell what's going on.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
So I'm going to try to practice with it. Mine may not kick in, as I mentioned. I got it to work earlier, but we'll try it out. Yay, it's working. So you can see my subtitles at the bottom. I put it at the bottom overlaying. That's where I chose to place the subtitles. So you can see this is a really nice feature if you were in a really large classroom or doing your presentation online. All right. So that's subtitles. Would you like me to? You can also start from current slide, you know, if you need to. But are there any more questions on that before we move on? Okay, so that was designer ideas and subtitles. So those were the two features to show in our Office 365 app. The next thing that I want to do is I'm going to pop over to the desktop app because I want to talk to you about Zoom, the Zoom function and the landing page. And so there's a couple things you could do. You could always download your file, upload it in your desktop app, or simply open in the desktop app.
So this feature that she's showing you here is one of those that is actually not available in Office 365 on the web, but is available in that version that desktop support installs for you. And in our description on the workshop page, we called this the landing page. The idea is so that you can present non-linearly. The official name for this in PowerPoint is Zoom, and so that's why we didn't use that on our description, because we didn't want people to confuse this with Zoom, the app that we're working with right now.
Yes. All right. So if you've ever saw a Prezi presentation, this is kind of similar to that same visual appeal, you know, of a Prezi. But I'm just trying to fit that on there. Okay. So one nice thing about creating a landing page is you might have a really lengthy presentation with several different sections, and you don't want to have to work through that presentation linearly. So you want to be able to pop around in different sections. Another nice thing is in the past, maybe you divided up presentations by chapters and that was just inconvenient. So you could put all of your content, you know, you can put a large amount of content in one presentation, and then you'll be able to see that you can just touch on different sections. So there's a lot of nice, you know, features besides looking visually appealing. It's just also about organizing your presentation, especially if you're doing a conference. It's a helpful feature. So let's see. Let's go to our insert menu. So under the insert menu, you're going to see this zoom function. And there's a little drop down here. It almost creates like a table of contents. You'll see under the description, it can kind of helps you have a table of contents for your presentation. So you're going to see under there this summary zoom. So this is what it looks like. It's going to bring up all the slides in your presentation. So let's say you have, you know, 50 slides. You can strategically go through and select the slides that you want to be in your table of contents. So you have one topic, you know, your main slide for each topic that you want to organize by. So I'm just going to pretend like I have 3 topic slides or sections of my presentation that I want to be able to have on my landing page. So once I select the slides, again, I only have 4. You'll have a whole lot more, and you can strategically select the slides. And what it does is it automatically creates a summary section over in your slide sorter over here on the left, and you'll see your summary section has already been created. And then I'm able to, you can go back in and tweak that and edit it. So when I go to my presentation view, all right, didn't need to do that. And when I go to my view, whoops, you'll see that you have now you're organized. Now I select that, and then if I went through, you just page down, click, click, click. So all the slides that were in between this and the next slide you selected, you'd be able to work through those. We don't have any slides underneath. So this would be another section that you could organize your content. And because like I'm hitting my little arrow down, so that slide was underneath of that particular slide. And I just didn't include it in my Zoom because I wanted to organize by subject or however you would like to organize it. Let's see if we're missing anything about that. So you can always go in and edit that as well.
So once you finish the set of slides under one section, the PowerPoint will bring you back to the summary section and then you can choose a different set?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'd want to make sure when you selected the Zoom slide, you know, the slides that you want on your table of contents summary section, you'd want to make sure that you have all the slides underneath that have all the, you know, your sub slides underneath of each topic slide, because then it'll go ahead and go through all of those for you as you arrow down, and then it'll pop back. Once it gets done with the slides that are in between, it'll pop back to that summary section, and then you'll be able to select different areas. And you can apply this, you know, just like we had with the other features, you can apply this to an existing presentation. So you can upload one you already have done and apply this Zoom landing page feature to it as well.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah. So it might be helpful if you're going to do that. You know, you probably already do have slides that are separating your sections that you organize your content by, but if you don't, you might want to pop some slides in that are like your landing page slides and make those the ones that you include in your summary section.
We had a question about, can you move that summary slide around? And yes, you can. We've done this in a presentation where we have our introduction and then we have the summary slide. And depending on what people want to talk about first, we click on that summary slide and it brings us to that section. When we're done with that section, it automatically brings us back to the summary slide and lets us choose a different section to go to.
Any other questions on the landing page feature?
I do. I put it in chat, but we didn't get answered. So we can insert quizzes with Turning Point technology with Office 365 relatively easily, correct?
Okay. If you want to do Turning Point, you have to do it either in the desktop app or through the web version of Turning Point that I showed on Tuesday, which you guys will get a link to that information as well. You can't insert Turning Point on the office365.utk.edu section. Does that make sense?
And we've got another couple of questions. Can you show again where the Zoom option is located? And can the summary slide have anything other than small pics of the slides you're going to? What if you have a lot of landings?
So I believe it will just keep accommodating, and they'll just get smaller scale. The pictures will get smaller scale, but you can also customize this slide as well. You know, you could put a title on it. And then how to insert again, or how to get it started, is you go to under insert, and then you'll see this zoom function, and there's a drop down box. And so you'll see summary zoom here. Now notice that I have a Zoom page already set up, right? I already did the summary zoom. So what happened is it brought up this section zoom as well. This will, like, you have a couple options. There's a section zoom, a slide zoom, and you could play around with them. This one is a section zoom, and it creates a link to a section when you're presenting, selected to jump to it. But it's really basically the same thing as the summary zoom. Summary zoom does the same thing, because when you select that landing page, it takes you through all the content, pops you back to the home page. But it's start out with summary zoom is the one that we recommend. And then Rachel and Courtney, have you had more than one, like how many, do you know, have you done a whole lot of different landing pages? Does it just tile it and accommodate the size as you get more landing pages?
I've not done more than 4, partly just because I liked how it looked having the 4 on the screen. And the talk that I was giving only had really 4 major sections. So it's really up to you. I did play with it and it will do more, but Jenny, you're right that they just get smaller and smaller and smaller. And so at some point it ends up being not terribly helpful. But what you could do is you could have a slide with your major sections, and then you could do a summary zoom with other, smaller sections in there.
Okay, I'm going to move on, but if we have more questions, feel free to ask. The next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is annotation. Now, Rachel mentioned it yesterday a little bit, but I'm going to go over some of your annotation tools that you have.
Actually, I've got a question. Laura, could you chime in here? Because I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. You say, can you insert text on landing page?
So on the landing page, if I want to maybe share that after I've given a class and I want to remind them how to utilize the landing page, meaning the thumbnail clicks you to a section, you'll work through it and return and then go to the next section. Can I add text?
Sure.
Or would it be like, does it go, okay, perfect. The text.
Yeah, you say use, select.
Whatever, okay.
Oh, I see what you're, okay.
Yeah, so you could do it works, you can just use all of your different toolbar functions on the landing page. And
the option I was thinking is I would just put it on that front page on the thumbnail, how to do it and how to return at the last slide within that section. But I like having it there on the landing page. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually, to give instructions on that page. Good idea.
The slides themselves can have the name on them, can they? Like it's just.
Oh yeah, so when you created them, this is topic 1, and then see how it updated my, as soon as I add text, it auto updates my little thumbnails. Okay. So I'm going to just show you some annotation features. So let's say you're presenting your presentation, via Zoom, and you need to point out some things. So we're going to go here, and down at the bottom left, so I'm on my first slide and I want to point some things out. I have to take my mouse. See how this just disappears sometimes, these little toolbar tool or annotation tools down here. Those disappear sometimes if you have, you leave it too long. So you just bring your mouse down here to the bottom left, and you're going to see the little annotation tool. And we talked about the laser pointer yesterday a bit. So you do have the laser pointer feature where you can point things out on your slide. We'll look at that in a moment. But you also have the pen tool. So prior to me clicking the pen tool, I can come down here and I have different colors that I can choose to have my pen tool. And I did pick the purple, so automatically, see, it's telling me that I have the pen tool selected. So then I can come up here and use my tool. I also have a highlighter tool that I can use. The highlighter is yellow by default. I don't think you can change the highlighter colors. We'll look at that in a minute. But so see how the pen has a different view because now I'm in a highlighter. Let's see if we can change the highlighter. Yeah, we can. So you can change your highlighter color. Let's say you messed up, you don't want to have that particular scratch on their annotation. I can just click right on that and it goes away. I just selected the eraser. So you have an eraser down there. So you have a couple of options here. Let's say that you worked through your whole presentation. And maybe not. Oops. Well, I'll come back and show you that in a moment. So notice this came up and says, want to keep your ink annotations? Because what will happen is if you annotated during your presentation with your students, you probably aren't going to want to keep your ink annotations, so you can just discard it. If you accidentally hit keep, all you have to do is hit undo when you get back to PowerPoint. When it pops you back to PowerPoint, you just hit undo and it gets rid of those ink annotations. So I'm going to discard them. Let me show you that again. So down here at the bottom left is my tool. And here's your pen, laser pointer, highlighter. Once you add content to the slide, you have an eraser. You can also erase ink on all slides before you ever even leave your presentation. But if you want to keep it for some reason that you feel like you'd want to keep the annotations that you did make, you can go ahead and save those when it prompts you with the message.
It still doesn't have a text annotation, right?
I don't think so, no.
Something so useful.
Yeah, to be
You
able to
would think
type
that.
on it during your presentation, yeah.
Yeah.
You could always do a text box. You know, you could have a text box and add some animation to it and have it come in during your presentation.
Yeah, that's.
We could always show you, I mean, you're probably familiar with text box, but we can definitely go over that.
No, I do know. I just, it's nice when something you didn't put it in there, or that some students say it and you just want to add it.
Yes.
You know, and the annotation tool, when you're presenting through Zoom, it doesn't work that well. It makes your mouse disappear.
Really?
It is,
Okay.
yeah, it is a really headache.
Okay.
So yes, you have to put in all what you want so that it will pop up. But when you want to be a little bit spontaneous, like you have to be in a classroom, and then you don't have the way to do it.
Yes. I agree. It may help. One of the things the last thing I'm going to talk to you about today is recording your PowerPoint presentation. And you could, I don't know if it would help to record it and then run your recording via Zoom during your lecture, and then you can always pause it, but I'll go over it and you can see if maybe it would be beneficial
Thank you.
to use.
Annie, can I ask a question?
Sure.
When I was using Zoom and using the presentation, I couldn't get to the whole, like it was showing for my students exactly, you know, the little thumbnails on the side, and I didn't want to lose my students. So whenever I hit the presentation, and then I would get the whole screen and not be able to see my students. So how do you do this? Because I see that you show me the presentation mode and we don't disappear on the side. So can you show me how you do that, please?
Yeah, I wonder, okay, well, let me just go through it again and then we can see maybe what's happening.
Yes, okay. I can't do this and keep my students on the side.
Okay.
It takes the whole screen.
So I wonder if that's from, so can you see my Zoom screen on here? Like you guys don't see your, like.
I can see the presentation really nice without the thumbnails, and I can still see the participants on the side, on the strip. Okay. Yes.
So I wonder if it isn't, there's some settings at the top.
Mm-hmm. Like the percentage of the view or something like this?
Yeah, like there's the hide, it's that little bar that runs across the top of the Zoom, and there's a hide thumbnail video, show small active speaker video. And then I have mine on the third one. That's just the 2 bubbles. And then the last one is where it's that grid video. And it could be that I wonder if it just got minimized when you were presenting and you just needed to go in and open up one of the views, you know, like that it went to the thumbnail or it hid all of your video. We'll have to look at it.
Yes, okay. Yeah, right now I can see on the view options, you have fit to window and side-by-side mode. So this is probably what I would have to check then, right?
Right.
I'm presenting, okay.
Yes.
I also think that however, your students can also not be using side by side, and then they can see the PowerPoint, but they don't see each other. So it's like a personal thing. So they might lose you. I don't know.
Okay.
We will have to be
Someone else
2 places
mentioned
at a
that
time.
when you present, you can actually present your PowerPoint in a individual window.
That's
This actually allows you to have it windowed instead of being full screen on your computer, and that might help. And you can go into your presentation settings under Setup Show and do Browse as an individual, and it allows you to just have that one window up instead of.
And we've got kind of a back discussion going about different ways to annotate. You have an annotation app. It's a whiteboard app in Office 365. So if you open up Office 365, you go to All Apps. There's a whiteboard app in there that you can use. You could also use OneNote. And then something that I showed the folks in the workshop yesterday is you can actually join, if you're the host, you can join your phone using your account, as long as you've got Zoom on it, to your meeting, and then just have it on a stack of books, share the screen of your phone, and then you can use your phone like a document camera. So it works really well if you use a Sharpie on paper, but if you're used to using the document camera in your classroom, you can join your phone and have it just sitting up on top of some books and have it show what's on a piece of paper.
Oh, cool. Wonderful. Thank you.
And I'm actually going to write an article for this in our monthly newsletter, our instructional and research support newsletter. And that will come out in June, around the first week in June. So if you get that monthly newsletter, the instructions will be in there how to do that.
Wonderful.
I did put up the Setup Show up here, Courtney just mentioned. So it's under your Setup slideshow, and you can choose, I believe it's this one, Courtney, right? Browsed by an individual window.
Yeah, it's the Browse individual window. It doesn't show you your notes if you have notes associated with your PowerPoint. It just shows a windowed version of your PowerPoint. So
you can mess around with those settings maybe to get that effect you're looking for, or the view that you're looking for in your Zoom session. All right, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about recording. The last thing we're going to talk about is recording a presentation in PowerPoint, which is, it's just a great feature to be able to do that. One of the nice things, if you've ever recorded a lesson before, is I've recorded in Screencastify or Camtasia, is that you often have to record your audio, and if you mess up, you end up having to start from scratch again. And sometimes that audio piece and script can be a challenge. So when you record in PowerPoint, it's nice that it does an individual audio file for every slide. So you don't have to go back and re-record if you mess up 10 minutes into your lesson. So you're able to go in and just add new audio to one slide at a time. So that's a nice feature.
Jenny?
Yeah.
I actually use that, I self-taught, mind you, but I used that on my last 3 lectures last semester, and I took the words off, so they had to listen to the lecture and they had to take notes, and it actually worked very well. And like slide 3, and they have the picture, or they have the map, And then I would just add audio to it and they could go back and forth. And I found it actually worked better than being in class going, "Oh, no, no, no."
No, I agree. And it's nice too, because you can do so many different,
Right.
you can record a lesson and incorporate clickers in there and have some questions embedded and give them a time, you know, you have to do this in this time frame. And you know, it's just,
They have
there's
to
a lot of,
concentrate. They have to think. They have to take notes, you know, because there's no words on the slides. They have to take notes.
right, right.
And I actually had to get better at my PowerPoints and not put so much on them because of that. So it worked out nicely.
Oh, I think that recorded lessons have just, it takes it to a different level.
Yeah.
And you can really kind of flip your classroom and have nice discussions later on. And there's ways to add accountability too.
Absolutely.
Those lessons.
And with online testing, they're going to have their notes in front of them. And if
Right.
they're going to have their notes in front of them, well, they have to take those notes and not just take them from the slide.
Right, have to actually listen. That's a good point. Very good point.
Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, this is a great feature to be able to record your slideshow ahead of time. And you can, I'll show you how to upload it, or you have the ability of just uploading it as a PowerPoint, you know, and it'll record your audio, but you can also have it as a video file, an MPEG file. So there's a couple of options for when you load it to your Canvas course. In order to record your slideshow, you're going to see I'm under slideshow here. And when we do send you, let me show you this real quick. When we do send you the PowerPoint, it will have all of the step-by-step directions for all of these things we've covered today. So this will tell you exactly how to record a presentation, and there's a hyperlink because there's a really great resource that I've shared here that will go over a whole bunch more in detail about that recording function and a lot of the different features. And then there's also a slide on all the different tools. So we don't expect you to remember everything today, but this, you know, you can reference back to this presentation that we share with you later. So I'm going to go ahead and record the slideshow. And yeah, I'm not worried about that. That was the first time that popped up. But so there's several different tools here I want to talk to you about. For some reason, see, I have my camera turned off down here. The reason I can't turn my camera on right now is I'm in this Zoom meeting with you guys, and my camera is being used for my Zoom meeting. But if it's just you getting ready to record your PowerPoint, you're going to see that your camera's turned on down here at the bottom right, and you're going to see that you come up as the little picture-in-picture will be an option to turn off and on. So if you want to have your slideshow where you have your picture, your video down here in the bottom corner, and it's you talking, then you'll turn that on and they'll be able to see your face as you're doing your recording on your slide. You also have all your different annotation tools, you know, same thing in your normal presentation. So as we were talking about earlier, if you want to record your lesson, you can still annotate and point things out to your students. Your buttons for recording your lesson are up here, so we'll do that in a moment. But I want to show you, and you may not be able to see it. Let me see if I can minimize this here. Yeah, I can. All right, so I wanted to show you something here. See this notes section? So if I had some notes on my slide, and for, you know, how you have your notes section in your PowerPoint. So I can have those notes show up here, which is nice. It's like a little script you could have going if you needed to have that script going. And you can also make the font bigger. You know, if you're trying to read and record your lesson as you're going through the presentation, you can adjust your font sizes as well. This right here will clear any recording. So if you feel like you messed up, it's going to clear the recording off of the screen for you. And then there's some different settings over here that that article I shared with you will show you some more features that are available. And so I'm going to go ahead and just practice with a recording. Okay, thank you for joining us for today's PowerPoint workshop on creating online presentations. We're glad you joined us. We're going to hit stop. I think. Notice that they also have your buttons here where you can go and to the next slide, previous slide. So you can do all of your recordings without having to exit out and go back in. Usually there is a little X box over here that you can exit out. I don't want to do that. I'm going to do another test recording. This is our presentation on creating online lessons or Zoom or lessons for online learning. We're going to stop. And normally that little X comes up. All right, I hit escape. So if the little X doesn't come up, I just hit escape, took me out. But notice down here, see how I have this little sound icon down here? So I know my recording is there. I can adjust my sound, my volume. Can even, listen to it right from the slide. This is our presentation. So I can listen to my audio, see if I like it, get rid of it, go back and record. So that's built in. So if I had when my camera's on and I'm not, I'm able to record my face, you'll see your face show up in your PIP, your picture-in-picture in the bottom right. You'll see everything that you just recorded is going to be in your presentation. So students you could upload this as a PowerPoint file and they could play it from the beginning. Just like a regular PowerPoint. But you can also, it might be more help, maybe more user-friendly so that that they're remembering to go to slideshow so they can view the whole effect. You can also...
Jenny?
Yes.
We got a question. Can you hit Format Audio or Animations to see what it does?
Format.
Where do you see that format? Do you see it anywhere, Rachel?
How it sets up the audio, click on Animations. Barbara, if you want to join in to Director.
It's right here.
Hi, this is me. Usually you can see how, so you click on the little audio and do the animations and then say the animation pane up there above trigger.
Yep.
And it'll show you that, because I'd like to know if you stick an audio in, is it just setting it up so that it plays automatically when the slide opens? Or is it, because you could just get rid of that audio, or you could put an audio on that you previously recorded, right?
Right, and you could make it be select the flower and then it talks to them.
Right.
Add that effect.
So if you do the recording of it while you're going through presentation mode, so that you could click on something and then it will talk, you'll talk, and then you click on something else and then talk a little bit more. Is it setting that up in the animation pane in a particular way?
It's going to set it up exactly as if you clicked on that flower before you started speaking, it's going to time it all out just like you did during
so can you click on the animation pane to see how it set it up?
Yeah, I'm in animations here.
But click on the animation pane because it'll show you it over at the side.
Okay.
Ta-da. Okay. And then
I've got a couple of folks who say, can you copy and paste the icon of your audio recording from one slide to another? And can you show how to automatically move through the transitions? I had a student do that and I sat and listened to their speech. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And would it work there too?
So here's your animation pane. You do have options that you can apply. So if you don't want to start speaking, if you want to go back and edit it because you don't want your voice to automatically start, you can change it and add different effects. So there's a lot of options. If you want them to select a picture first before your voice comes on, you do have options with that. So that's great. That was a great feature. Thanks for asking about that.
Yeah, okay.
And then Rachel, you said about, can we copy paste that recording? I would imagine, yes, you could, because it's an audio recording. So you can probably.
And can you show how to automatically move through the transitions?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Lorna, are you asking, is there a way to set up the PowerPoint so that it just plays without anybody ever having to click it?
Yes, and the audio would start and their slides, and I had to do absolutely nothing but listen.
Yeah. So you can do that by just saving this as a video file is what I recommend, because once you get all your recordings in, now you got to remember though that if you make it a video file, you're not going to be able to say click on the yellow flower, or you can't have a message there say click on the yellow flower and have them click on the yellow flower, because it doesn't, then it's not going to work that way. But if you just have where you've recorded every slide and just save it as a video file, then
there's also an option for using timings on the slides, for having it advance automatically for you. So like if you were doing a Pecha or something and you needed it to go, you can actually set the slide up to automatically go to the next one.
Yeah, that's rehearse. So you can do that under you can do that under rehearsing your slideshow, and that'll get your timings exact. I'll show you that in a moment. But keep in mind that when I do my recording, this is also timing it too. So if I'm timing it and then I hit my next arrow and I just work through the whole presentation, that's applying a time to it as well. So if they hit their slideshow, it's just gonna play through. But if you want to, you can also do your rehearsed timings. And that's where see how it's got your recording up here and it's saying, okay, this slide's been up 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 seconds, and then I can move to the next slide, and then you're just giving a set time for each slide before it proceeds forward. And those will save, because as soon as I'm done, if I hit escape, it's going to say, okay, now your slideshow is 10 seconds. Do you want to save these set times to each slide? That's an option too.
Lorna, with some of your questions there about a student session, Rachel or I or Jenny could come into your class if you want us to give a short presentation on how to do this to your students. But we could also help get some material written up so that they have some guidelines on some easy ways to do this as well.
So typically when you are sharing a PowerPoint presentation, do you just upload the PowerPoint and tell them to run it as a slideshow? Like what types of directions do you tend to give your students if you're sharing a presentation through Canvas?
I have to, because the audio takes up a lot of whatever space, where it does, I have to compress everything that and the pictures involved.
Good.
But the audio is not the problem. It's the pictures that I put in place for those particular slides. And if I compress them, then I can get them on Canvas pretty quickly. And even students that don't have the best internet connection can actually utilize them by compression.
Good. I'm glad you mentioned that about compressing the file. I would have forgotten to mention that. So thank you. So you do have the option of, uploading just a PowerPoint. You can also, I'll show you how to save it as a video file. You can if you save it as a video file, you can upload it to YouTube if you have your own channel. Sometimes hosting them on YouTube is better than trying to upload it all to Canvas. Just quicker.
And we have a question of when you save the PowerPoint as video, does it wait for audio to finish before going on? So I think,
Will it finish your audio per slide?
before it advances to the next slide.
I think it does work. I've done it before, but Courtney.
Yeah. So when you are actually building your PowerPoint to go out to a video, what you do is you go through it and it looks at all the animations, including your audio, and builds everything to those time frames. If you want to build in extra time on certain slides to give them time to either read it, think about it, do something like that, you can go through that rehearsed timings and actually just let it sit there for a minute and then go on to the next slide, and it'll look at those timings too to know when to advance. So there's a couple ways to be able to do that, but yeah, it'll finish every animation or every play in it before it moves on.
So you could pop in a question slide, time that question slide so it's up there for a while, give them, a couple minutes to answer, and then continue with the video, but it all sticks. Any other questions? So
Really quick.
Go ahead.
Really quick, do we have any place where the students can train themselves on how to record a PowerPoint with their voice? Because as part of activities that I assign, they have to present on something, and I tell them to upload their PowerPoint presentation with audio, and they have had I'm having problems with it. Why wouldn't they? So it would be nice to have some kind of training for the students, or where can they go to get that training? Because I've tried to include, how to say, to use Studio instead of this. But some get them, some can get it, some they don't. And so they send me a PowerPoint and then they post an audio file separate from the PowerPoint, so it loses all the effect.
So is there a knowledge base article on this, Rachel, for doing a recording?
I don't know if we have a knowledge base article or not, but we'll work on getting one. And like Courtney said, if you want us to log on to your class and demonstrate it, we can. But we will definitely also work on creating the instructions for the students so that you can just give it to them.
Yeah, maybe a link to a website or something. That would be great.
Yeah, we've got a knowledge base on OIT's site. If you go to OIT's site and just search for knowledge base, then when that comes up, you can search for PowerPoint. We'll put it there, but we'll also try to work on this and send it out when we send the YouTube links and all of that. I think we'll probably be sending them next week because there's a couple of things we need to add into the big email to everybody.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, that would be helpful. So if you do, once you get your, your recordings in as you like, and you've done your timings, and you're ready to go with your presentation, and you do want to do it in video format for YouTube or to upload it as a video, if you do a save as, and Courtney, you can tell me if there's a different way to do this. I just tend to put it in, and I hit my save as type, and I just go and look for the MPEG-4 video type. So instead of saving it as a PowerPoint presentation, I'm saving it as an MPEG video. Do you have any other recommendations on that, Courtney?
I normally do an export
instead
of save as.
Okay, so that's another way to do it. I forgot about export. So you can go to, is it under file? And then
at least on, yeah, so there.
And we've actually got another question about could you do this in Zoom? And yes, you can create a Zoom meeting for just you, share your desktop, share your PowerPoint, and you can record that Zoom meeting as you're presenting the PowerPoint just by yourself. The benefit of using the recording through PowerPoint is, like Courtney said, that it actually gives you a separate audio file for each of the slides, whereas on Zoom, you're just kind of going from beginning to end as you're presenting. But if you are more comfortable using Zoom and you like how you can pace yourself on that, then do it the way you're comfortable. You don't have to feel like, you know, you have to do it this way. This is just one of the tools in your tool belt that you can use.
And you'll notice under export that you do have create a video, and you do have settings, which this is probably a better way to do it than I initially showed you. So glad I asked. You'll see that you have some settings here, and you know, you can make it a smaller file size.
Yeah.
You're going to maybe upload it to Canvas. Do we have recommendations on if you're going to upload it to Canvas, a file size?
It depends on if you are using Studio or Canvas. If you're uploading to Canvas, you probably want to go smaller file size because you've only got so much space in your Canvas course. But if you're going to send it over to Studio, that's a whole different other area. But you guys probably have more familiarity with Canvas than we do. So what would you all suggest?
Well, it asks you actually, you know, when you're sending it out for internet purposes or printing purposes or whatever. And if it says, and when I put mine in, it says internet purposes, and it shrinks it to people so people can use it.
That's nice.
And it worked very well actually. So I don't know if that helps, but
I was to say my recommendation is, I mean, 1080 is a good size. You can go down to 720 and they'll be perfectly fine with it. And most devices will resize.
We're not all scientists, and we're like, what is 1080?
Yeah, well, the sizes on these in both Mac and PC say 1080. So 1080 is your standard TV size.
Right.
720 is, most laptops are a 720 pixel depth on your screen. So it'll be good there. It's just the higher that number, the bigger the file is going to be.
That's right.
So I recommend most of the time for 720, just as an ease of use. That's the standard file size that Facebook resizes everything to. So it's a decent resolution for everything. The 4K one, honestly, there's no reason to use that because not everyone has 4K, and it's a huge file size. So the standard HD, I think is what it calls it in here, is good. On the Mac version of it, it says presentation quality, internet quality, or low quality. The internet quality is that 720 range, which for everything that we're doing right now will be sufficient for their needs.
Another nice feature from this, that when you hit export, is it does remind, saying, do you want to use those recorded timings and narrations that you've already put in? It also allows you to re-record. So just make sure you don't turn that off. But that is the second drop-down box underneath of your file size.
I just want to recommend to upload to Studio and not to Canvas, because if you upload to Studio, you also can create a quiz from your video. So the quiz in Studio can ask questions about the PowerPoint, and you can have that as part of your grade for the students.
Nice. That's a good idea.
And the Studio is really neat because you can actually embed that quiz like 3 minutes into it. So if they're just skipping around, it doesn't tell them where the quiz is. It just
right. Waloo. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and that was we had another good comment here that you can also add captions in Studio. So yeah, and that's really nice.
And then when you're ready, you just create your video. Just make sure you remember where you're saving it. And then you can upload that file, that video file, to Studio, YouTube, wherever you want to have that hosted.
I do not know if there is going to be a studio workshop offered. That's actually part of the Canvas and Zoom group. But what you could do is you can go to help.utk.edu or 974-9900, and you can request them to help you with Studio. And if
On 5/28, so what, 2 weeks, there is a Getting Started with Canvas Studio course offered from 10:10 to 11:40.
oh, perfect. But the other thing is, you can request consultations with them, and just be aware that this workshop is not part of that Vol boot camp. This is just a separate workshop that the training folks are offering. So I just didn't want any confusion that this is part of the Vol boot camp. And Jenny, Barbara says, can you create the video and play for us, please?
Sure. All right. So while that's rendering, do we have any other questions or any other PowerPoint questions? I know we're a little over on time, so.
I asked earlier just on what the suggested file type is for sharing videos, if you guys can advise on that, because we have Macs and PCs and size.
Okay.
MP4 is playable on all devices. The .mov that will export mainly on a Mac is not playable on PCs. So MP4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What about M4 only? Rudimental recording at home, I use the cell phone, and when I send my recorded audio link from my cell phone to the computer via email, it comes up as M4. Would that work?
And M4 is just an audio file. So
Yeah.
it'll play on.
Okay, thank you.
Now, one thing about me rendering this video is I didn't really go through and use my landing page and navigate, you know, as you would if you were creating a formal presentation. So it's going to be a little rough.
MP4 videos on.
Now, sometimes it'll pop up. I thought maybe it would pop up and let me play it.
She's searching for it. One of the things that we wanted to do with this workshop, and I know Rachel and Jenny agree with me, is this is to kind of show you guys some of the stuff out there. But once again, you don't have to do this by yourself. We're here to help. We're willing to do one-on-one consultations and help you guys figure this stuff out. So please don't bang your head against the wall on this, and reach out, and we're happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you'll see my videos up, and I can play through it online. So I don't have any other recordings on my. This is our presentation. So it did record my audio. If I would have worked through it and had an audio recording for every slide and clicked on every landing page, it would have saved all of that and played through.
Would it help if I sent you what I did as an example for you guys, or not?
Sure. Here, I'll put my email in the chat.
And it's, you keep the lectures, like I did the Guatemalan genocide to 20 slides, so I could actually load it properly. And it's just audio, and I don't know, would it help to send that to you?
I always
we can share that out as an example of what someone's done, so they can see it. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we could even put that maybe in, if you didn't mind. I mean, it could maybe go in when we share out the resources as a sample.
yeah, because I had to, I couldn't cough, I couldn't choke, I couldn't sneeze. And, you know, I could actually go in if I stuttered or if I said something wrong on the slide, I could go in and fix that individual slide, like you said. But if that'll help, I'll be happy to share it with you.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for everything.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Do we have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Be safe and healthy. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.